Today's masterclass is all about pulling back the curtains on what it really takes to 10x your income, reclaim your time, and start building a business with more freedom. We are officially in the era of solopreneurship, y'all. If you did not know, 98% of businesses in North America, across Canada, across the US are small businesses. And of those small businesses, 80%, a whopping 80%, are either a single person like you, like me, that's where the term solopreneur comes from, or they are a small team of under 3 people. And I say that to inspire you guys and to show you that there are literally millions of business owners out there, millions of entrepreneurs who are just like you. And if you think that all of them are out here grinding, hitting the pavement, working over 100 hours a week just to barely get by, you are mistaken. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Yusra. I've been an entrepreneur for several years now. Like most solopreneurs, I have worn so many hats along this journey. And even before I was a full-time entrepreneur, I was side hustling for years. In fact, one of my first big breakthroughs, one of my first light bulb moments that went off when it came to entrepreneurship was when I took a limited amount of money, literally less than $100, and I flipped it into close to $1,000 in less than 2 weeks. That is a story for another day. I've actually told it on other videos in this channel, but the reason why I'm bringing it up is it really opened my eyes to the possibilities that entrepreneurship holds. And it is ultimately one of the sparks that led me to starting my consulting business, Small Seed Consulting, where I help small and medium-sized businesses do everything that we're going to be talking about in this masterclass, which is make more money and work less. In my professional career, I always worked in operations. I always worked in strategy. I literally owned $40 million portfolios. I had a team of people reporting to me. So I know how overwhelming it can be, whether you are a small business or a big business. The struggle is there. It can be very difficult to manage all of the moving parts in a business, like I said, whether you're a small business or a big business. And that's why I can tell you guys, I know the value of having the right systems, the right structure, the right support in place. And when it comes to the mix of the right elements that you need for your specific business, that is what allows you to achieve the freedom that you have been craving. And ultimately, that's why I know, guys, I know that is why you are watching this video. That is why you are here, because you are at an inflection point when it comes to your business. So an inflection point is a moment, it is a step when everything changes. So you are at that inflection point. You are making money, but you know you can't keep operating the way that you've been operating. It's just not sustainable. You're going to be completely burnt out. Or you're making money, but you really want to take it to that next level and make even more. So you know that something has to change. You know that you need to start doing things differently in order to achieve the freedom that you're looking for, or to achieve the money that you're looking for, or to achieve the impact that you're looking for. You know that something has to change. So let's start getting into the specifics. And before we jump into things, guys, I want to kind of frame this entire conversation with a video that I watched. I don't know if any of you guys have watched CNBC's Make It. They have a YouTube channel, and I remember a couple of years ago watching a specific video that, you know, it's meant to be inspirational. It's meant to be aspirational. It was this woman, a Black woman actually, who ran her own business. And they were profiling her, and it was this amazing story of how she went from zero to, I believe it was over $20 million. And guys, you would think that that is what every single entrepreneur wants to hear. Yes, making that amount of money, literally making the millions. But here's the thing, not everything that glitters is gold. Guys, I am not joking when I tell you that when I watched that video, this woman felt like she was 1 minute away from breaking the fourth wall, looking straight at the camera and saying, "Don't do it." Like, she looked like she hated her life. She repeatedly was talking about the struggles, the responsibility that she had, and you could just tell it was completely weighing her down. For her, she had probably reached that same inflection point that you're at right now many, many years ago, but she chose to keep doing things the way that she was doing them and not set herself up for the life that she wanted. So now she was in a position where, yes, she was making more money than ever, but the amount of responsibility that she had, the amount of staff that she had, she was completely chained to her business. So I want to use her as a little bit of a cautionary tale for all of the things that we're about to talk about. And I know some of you might be thinking $20 million, like that sounds like a pretty good cautionary tale. I wish I could have that cautionary story, but I have a feeling if you are tapped into this masterclass, that for you, freedom is the priority and money is only one part of that equation. So let's get into it. So I want to start off by asking this question: employee, business owner, CEO. Which one are you? And I would love if you guys drop this down below in the comments. Let me know which one initially comes to mind for you. And I know some of you guys might feel triggered seeing the word employee, but we're going to talk about what all of this means in just a second. I think there are some of you that one might come to mind, but you actually are in a different bucket than what you think. So let me break down these different categories. Okay, so employee. So the employee mindset is very task orientated, and this is a really beneficial place for you to be in the early stages of your business when you're doing it all, right? So the employee mindset is like, you know what needs to be done, you know how it needs to be done, and oftentimes you are measuring your success with the fact that you are getting things done, that you are ticking off your to-do list. In this bucket, actions and execution are prioritized over strategy. Again, that's not necessarily a terrible place to be. It's just the reality of the situation. Your focus is really just on getting things done, not the strategy component, and you are probably limiting the amount of risk that you're actually taking in your business. And also with that limited risk that you're willing to take, you don't usually make a lot of investment into your business. You're kind of just trudging on, doing what you can with what you have. Now, the business owner mindset shifts from just executing to focusing on growth and focusing on scale. So you're starting to take more risks, you're starting to make more investment. And like, don't get me wrong, you are still wearing all the hats. You are still doing multiple things in your business because you might be the only person in your business, or maybe you only have a few supporting people in your business. But even if you're doing it all, you are understanding the importance of systems, and you are understanding the importance of processes as well. And here's the thing, guys, when somebody is already thinking about systems, when they're already thinking about processes, this is a person who's already thinking ahead. They already are aware of the fact that they can't do it all forever, right? So even if they're not in that position where they have all of their processes and all of their systems established perfectly, they are thinking about it, they know the importance of it, they are working towards it. And then you have the CEO. So the CEO mindset is all about leadership. So the CEO is not doing it all, right? They don't hesitate to delegate. They don't hesitate to make the investments in their business that they need to make in order for the business to scale, in order for it to achieve longevity. So again, a lot of the CEO actions are the actions around leadership. So even if they're bringing people into the business, even if they're delegating stuff out, they're ensuring that those people are set up to be successful in what they're doing. And they're really focusing on achieving scalability in their business. And I want to pause here for a moment, guys, and talk about the difference between growth and scalability, because we often use the words interchangeably, we often say them together, but they're different. So growth can look like achieving some sort of growth in your business, right? Whether that's revenue growth, you're making more money today and this year than you made yesterday or last year, or maybe you have more clients this year and you're planning on having even more clients next year, right? Like that is growth that we're seeing in the business in some sort of form, right? But scalability is this idea that even as the business is growing, right? Oftentimes not just in terms of the revenue and the clients, that usually means that your workload is growing too. It's this idea that just because your workload is growing, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to dump in the same amount of energy, the same amount of money, the same amount of resources that you're doing today, right? So it's this idea of being efficient, like you're getting things done without having to use the same amount of resources that you're using today. And that's really important because if you are a solopreneur, you're the only person working in your business, and let's say you working with a client, everything requires you to put in about 10 hours a week with a client, right? So that's everything. That's around delivering the service, around the invoicing, around all of the operations and administrative stuff. Well, if you want to work no more than 40 hours a week, that means you can only have 4 clients, right? So scalability is thinking about this way of how can I take on more clients, or how can I make more money in a way that is not proportionate to the amount of work that I am currently doing today. So again, very, very important concept when it comes to us thinking about freedom in our business, because if we're not thinking about how to scale our business, then we are not going to be able to 10x our revenue, and we are not going to be able to achieve the amount of freedom that we are hoping to achieve. So again, with that CEO mindset, with that leadership mindset, with that scalability in mind, you are thinking about how can my business continue to run without me having to be involved and have my hand in every single element and aspect of it. Okay, so I started this off by asking you, employee, business owner, CEO, which one are you? I'm sure something came to mind, but now that I have really fleshed out what each of the mindsets and accompanying actions are for each of these categories, I'm curious to know if there's a difference. Again, would love if you guys updated that original comment or let me know down below. But I think a key takeaway here, guys, is this idea that in entrepreneurship, you can fall into all of these buckets. Like, you might start off your business in the employee framework and in the employee mindset, and that's okay. It's going to help you achieve and get to a certain level. But if you are looking to really 10x your income and gain more freedom, we have to work ourselves up to that CEO container. We have to put ourselves in that CEO position. And this is something that I talk about all the time on this channel, and this is what I work with clients to do. So if you guys are scratching your head and thinking about how you can never see yourself getting there with where your business is today, book a call with me down below in the description box and we can figure it out together. So let's dig a little bit deeper into why most entrepreneurs struggle to scale. There are 3 common areas, which are doing everything yourself, lack of support and systems, and overwhelm and burnout. And guys, what you're going to notice is that these 3 categories do not align with being in a CEO framework, a CEO mindset, a CEO position in your business, right? Like, the CEO is not doing everything themselves. They are not struggling with systems that they don't have in place. And because of that, they're not experiencing overwhelm and burnout. So I want you guys to remember that difference between growth and scaling, right? And I want to introduce a new character into the mix here. And this character is going to be what helps support scalability. I touched on it briefly, but it is this idea of capacity. So capacity is thinking about the idea that you as an individual, you as a business owner, you only have so much to give. You only have so much time. You only have so much resources. You only have so much energy. So usually when our business is growing or we want it to grow, we're pushing up against our capacity. We're at the max amount. This ties into that example that I gave you guys earlier about not wanting to work more than 40 hours a week, but you have 4 clients and each of them takes 10 hours, right? You are at your max capacity. You're going to struggle to make more money unless something radical changes because you only have so much to give. So if we are focused on scaling, we have to consider our capacity. And here's the thing, guys, we don't want to think about this term and these concepts in the way that everybody else thinks about them. You want to think about it differently in order to 10x your revenue, in order to achieve the freedom that you're looking for. Why do you think most people don't have it? Because they are not thinking about things in a unique way, with a different lens, with a different perspective, which is what you need to do. So you need to ask yourself, how can I continue to grow in my business? How can I continue to achieve more revenue without having to continuously and forever increase the amount that I'm putting into my business, increase the amount of time I'm putting into my business, increase the amount of energy, increase the amount of money? These are the questions that you need to be asking yourself if you are operating in that CEO mindset. And I find the people who struggle with this mindset that you can make more money without having to work more hours, they are the people who don't truly understand everything that I just told you about scalability and capacity. They haven't truly wrapped their heads around it. So to them, they don't believe it. They think it's just kind of a pipe dream that's not achievable. And here's where I want to say something to you, okay? And I don't want you to be offended, but I'm just gonna say something here, which is you are not that special. And I say that in a very loving way. I say it to remind you that there are all of those the millions of business owners that we talked about in the beginning, right? The 80% of solopreneurs and small teams, they are not all burning themselves to the ground. So why do you think that you have to? Right? You need to really open up your eyes here, and you need to understand and believe and just look at the facts that there are so many other people who have accomplished this. You are not that special. You don't have to be the exception to the rule. You can accomplish it too. And I actually want to give a client example when it comes to this idea of, really opening up your eyes and having the belief that you can accomplish these things, you can achieve more freedom, you can make more money in your business without having to completely burn yourself out. I used to run these sessions on how to make $1,000 in a day. And I'm actually going to turn it into a masterclass and post it on this channel next week. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down below, and also a like as well, because it really helps with the algorithm. So I used to run these sessions one-on-one with people about how they can achieve $1,000 a day in their business. And I had a client who, she was an artist, she was a creative entrepreneur. And I'm telling you guys, within the first 5 to 10 minutes of our session, she genuinely was in disbelief. Like, when you can tell that somebody just does not believe something, even when they are shown the facts, when they are shown the truth that so many other people have accomplished something, they think that they are special, not in the good way. They think that they are the exception to the rule. They think that something can't happen. It just can't happen for them. It just can't happen for their business. This was a 45-minute session, guys. And by the end, we literally worked together. We brainstormed everything out. We had very clear takeaways and actions for her to do. And honestly, her mind was genuinely blown at how simple it was when I outlined things for her and showed her how it can work for her business. Again, this was somebody who thought, it just can't happen for me. I have kids. I'm busy with all the things going on in my life. I'm just trying to make it. And not truly believing that there's a way of making it that doesn't look like struggle. So stay tuned and watch that video next, guys, because I really think it helps you set up the framework for increasing your capacity, right? When you're thinking about how can you make that much money in a day, it helps you be able to address a lot of the issues that are in your business right now and rewire your plan forward in order to achieve scale and to achieve growth. So let's get into one of the first secrets when it comes to increasing your income and working less in your business. And that is staying in your zone of genius. Okay, what does it mean to stay in your zone of genius? Your zone of genius refers to skills, refers to activities that you're not only exceptionally good at, but that you actually enjoy. And the reason why that's so important is because you operate at your highest level of productivity and you operate at your highest level of creativity when you are playing in your zone of genius. So you are bringing so much significant value in your business when you allow yourself to stay in this zone. And another thing that I have found is that when you're in your zone of genius, one of the reasons why you're so productive is you are just able to really get straight into deep work. And you're able to get into this ease and this repetition flow that allows you to be so much more productive as opposed to when you are not in your zone of genius. And I'm telling you guys that staying in your zone of genius, being in this zone, is what allows you to increase your impact and make more money in your business. And it allows you to make more money because it allows you to be more productive, and it also gives you the confidence you need in order to make decisions quickly. Because here's the thing, when you're the CEO, you have to be making decisions, and you have to be making the right decisions in your business. And when you're in a position where you are not in your zone of genius, you are not able to make decisions quickly and confidently because it's just not your area of expertise. You're just not as confident in your ability to handle these problems and to make decisions around them. And that means the time between having an idea and executing on that idea begins to widen, right? It's not like when you're in your zone of genius and the opposite effect happens. Like, it takes very little time between when you have an idea and executing because you're able to make decisions faster. It's the opposite. So there's constantly this widening of time that is required in order to get things done. So again, being in that zone of genius, it gives you more confidence, it gives you more clarity, it allows you to make decisions faster, and it just allows you to get things done. So I have a downloadable that you guys can grab down below in the description box. It's completely free. You guys can use it to follow along, but it's gonna help you understand what your zone of genius is. So what is it that you do the best? What is it that drives the most value in your business? that's where you should be spending the majority of your time. That is what is going to allow you to make the right strategic decisions in your business in order to help you scale and increase your income. You don't just 10x your business overnight. You have to have a vision for it. It has to be strategic. And you have to trust yourself and have the confidence in yourself in order to make those decisions. Okay, so let's get into the second secret that is going to help you 10x your income and achieve more freedom, which is delegation. Delegation is literally one of the most powerful tools in order to unlock freedom in your business. And here's what people get wrong about delegation. People think that delegation is just about handing off tasks, but it's really not just that. It's about creating the right systems and structure in your business that allow you to step away from the day-to-day operations of your business and focus on the bigger picture of growth in your business. So I have so many examples, guys, within my own business. Let's just take one example of social media alone. I have tried for years to be consistent on social media across different social media platforms. So I had a choice. I could either go at it by myself again for like the millionth time and probably achieve the same outcome that I had achieved in the past, which was not being successful at it, or I could do things differently and delegate it out, which is what I chose to do. I ended up hiring a business that specializes in social media content creation. They handled the bulk of my social media for months and months, and it was able to completely free up my time. I got to a point where I was spending less than 10 hours a month on social media. Do you know how much time that freed up for me? Like, that was a complete game changer. It was no longer this massive looming thing that I had to work on and deal with on my own. And not only that, but I also talk about the mental fatigue that comes with not being in our zone of genius, with not delegating things. Because even when we're not actually doing the tasks, we're thinking about them, we're stressing about them, we're worrying about them. And here's the thing, guys, for me, this is a non-negotiable. You know why? Because I'm somebody who has actually experienced burnout. I actually was at a position in my life where I could not get out of my bed for months. I couldn't do anything. And think about the impact that that has on your business. Would your business still be profitable? Would it still be able to run if you are burnt out? The answer for most people is no. So I'm saying this as kind of another cautionary tale for you to not put yourself in a position where you are completely at your capacity, where you are completely exhausted, and where you are completely burnt out. And I want to take a minute here to call out the people who struggle with delegation like I did. I was one of those people, guys. I genuinely almost had an inflated sense of ego. Like, that's all it can be called. That's all it can be attributed to, where I genuinely thought nobody else can do it like me. I have to be the one to do this thing, whatever it is. And the reality is we have to humble ourselves. We have to know that we are not the best at everything. No, we might be the best when it comes to our zone of genius, but there are other people out there who can do things much better than us, much more efficiently than us. We just need to be willing to give them a chance. And the reality is, when I think back on that time period where I really struggled with delegation, it is because I was not operating as a CEO should be. I definitely did not have a CEO mindset at all. And again, it was based on that faulty belief that I was somehow so special, right? That I had to be the one to do everything. When again, that is not the case. I could have been much further along in my business if I just really stepped into that CEO mindset, that CEO energy, and allowed other people and the right systems and the right structures to support my business in order to see success earlier on. So by investing in delegation, you are freeing up the time that is required in order to focus on the strategic work in your business and in order to allow yourself to really play the role of a CEO instead of just playing the role of an employee. And that is what's truly going to skyrocket your revenue, skyrocket your growth. Okay, so let's talk about the next secret when it comes to 10xing your income and achieving more freedom. And guys, this is where the real boss stuff is at. This is where the real CEO work needs to be done. The third must if you want that freedom and if you want that growth in your business is around strategic scaling. And ultimately, you do that by having a strategy. And I have mentioned that word strategy several times throughout this masterclass, but let's tease out what it actually means. A strategy is that long-term plan for what you are trying to achieve. So again, we are in this masterclass talking about we want to 10x our income. We are in this masterclass talking about we want to achieve more freedom by decreasing the amount of time we're spending in our business. So we should have a strategy that aligns with that direction we're looking to head in. And a strategy is really comprehensive. It doesn't just focus in a high level kind of airy-fairy way on where you're trying to head. It really breaks down what are your goals? How do you measure success? And all of these different components of a strategy essentially give you a roadmap. They outline how you are going to make more money and how you are going to achieve more freedom in your business. And I want us to take a moment here and just think back on that entrepreneur I had mentioned at the very beginning. Think back on that entrepreneur that I had mentioned as kind of the cautionary tale. Do you think that she had a strategy in place that baked into it a version of freedom for herself? Probably not, right? She had probably never worked towards that. And it's likely what led to this outcome where, yes, she was making a ton of money, but she had absolutely zero freedom. And this is where I want to give a very, very unpopular opinion, which is that every strategy can work. Every strategy can be right? Like there's not just one way to do something, but it's so important to consider what is right for you based on the version of your life that you want. And again, this is the strategic part in strategic scaling. You can scale in a million different ways. Like there are a million different ways to prepare your business for growth and for scale. But in order for it to align with the outcome that you're looking for, then there needs to be intentionality behind it. And it needs to be built in that way which considers, again, your end goals in mind. So I want you to think, guys, about what actions you are now going to take based on all of the things that we just discussed. You might not be able to do all of the things, but even if you can just do 1% more than you were doing before you watched this video, that's better than not taking any action at all. And again, if you do not know where to start when it comes to all of these components of thinking strategically in your business and really transforming the systems and structure that is required in order for you to 10x your income and achieve more freedom, then I invite you to book a call with me down below in the description box. Let's talk one-on-one and figure out what your needs are in order to take your business to that next level. If you've gained some value from this video, guys, my only ask is that you drop a like down below and also hit the subscribe button. It really helps with the algorithm. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.